Hello, everybody, and welcome to Average Discussion. Today is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. It's about 42 degrees here on the outskirts of the Salt Lake City area. Out here where I live, a little bit overcast. Looks like it might rain, potentially even snow up in the mountains. Maybe it makes its way down here to the valley areas. But for right now, it's just kind of chilly, cloudy, no sun in sight. The weather really matches my traits, dark and gloomy. So, it is what it is. Hey, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for their continued support. I've been making a big push the last couple weeks to follow through on the things that I said I was going to, and I really appreciate everybody's support in that process. So please don't let up. If you know somebody who might be interested in the show, please reach out to them, let them know, check it out. All those things apply. So, what do I want to talk about today? Well, obviously, here at Average Discussion, I do a lot of news topics and things like that. Nothing super crazy, but I try to avoid the things that I feel like you're going to be bombarded with all day, right? I don't know. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, right? Most of the time. So, I try to avoid those things. I try to talk about things that maybe you're less likely to stumble across your social media feeds or your top news stories, right? So, for instance, some researchers in Japan have found what they say is a alien life form egg. They really emphasize the alien part. That's why I looked at it. But really, about 3.8 miles deep, they found these eggs, and inside these eggs was clusters of tapeworm or flatworms. And it's unique because they've never found them at that depth. They usually hang out in more shallow areas. So it was really kind of shocking and surprising to find them at the depth that they did. After some analysis and DNA sequencing and things like that, they determined that these are in fact flatworms. And I think they use the word alien because one, it's going to grab the headline attention, and for whatever reason, people are less intrigued by science. They're more intrigued by entertainment. So I totally get the play on words. However, I think it's just alien to them because it's not where it's normally found at. But yeah, so we do have that. All right, we got these worms are 4 miles in the depths of the ocean. The ocean's a crazy thing, man. The amount of stuff we don't know at the bottom of the ocean. In the article, that they said that as human beings we know more about the surface of Mars than we do our own oceans. And when you put that into perspective, I think that's kind of crazy, right? But obviously, flying in space is apparently easier than getting to the depths of the ocean. So that's intriguing all in itself. But if you remember a few weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, I don't even really know when, but I was talking about how protesters demonstrating in like art museums, right? And how I thought that was weird because, who's your target audience is kind of my mindset on that. Like they threw like soup or something on the Mona Lisa painting to protest, of all things, climate change. And well, now it's happened again. So at the National Archives, Rotunda was evacuated after climate activists dumped pink powder on case holding U.S. Constitution. And it's like this video thing, I'm not going to play it, but it's this video clip of these two guys that are covered in all this pink shit and they're standing in front of the Constitution. They're super proud. Like they're protesting climate change. So, yeah, I'm not sure who their intended audience is, like whose attention are you trying to get? Because I get you're wanting to change things, right? But are you not smart enough to realize that you're not inspiring those people to change? You're pissing them off, which makes them only want to bring you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care about what your issue is. They care about you now at this point. And all they want to do is make your life miserable because you're being dumb. It really makes no sense to me. Really makes zero sense to me. But check this out if you didn't know. So first of all, I want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs parade shooting thing. I don't want to get too much into it because, again, like I said, it's things you're going to hear about, be bombarded with. First thing I want to say is that my heart goes out to all those affected by it. And I want that to be the first thing that I say. And that's because that is truly the most important part. In regards to the articles around it, I want to give them credit where credit's due. Most of them waited till at least about halfway through the article before they started trying to turn the situation political. So, progress in that regard. But again, my heart goes out to all those affected. It's dumb. That's why we can't have nice things. So, in other news, though, an Oklahoma radio station, I believe it was Oklahoma, was basically blasted. And here's what they said. They were blasted on social media after somebody called in trying to, on X, they were blasted. They tried to request Beyonce's new country song. Now listen, I don't know if you've heard this song. It's fucking god awful. It is terrible. I'm sorry. It is absolutely. Don't get me wrong. It's got rhythm. It's kind of catchy, right? Because obviously it's a Beyonce song. Like, she knows what she's doing musically. But I've never felt like I've heard a song that's more forced, from the lyrics to the melody, the whole thing, the timing of everything. It's so forced. It's horrible. It's absolutely terrible. It makes me want to rage punch countertops. It's just really bad. And one of her fans called this radio station KYKC. It was a local to her, and she requested to hear the song. And this is what she said: I requested Texas Hold'em at my local country radio station, and after requesting, I received an email from the radio station stating, "We do not play Beyonce on KYKC as we are a country music station." The ex-user tagged the Bayhive fan account and added, "This station needs to be held accountable for their blatant racism and discrimination against Beyonce." Now, this is where someone like myself gets pissed off. You keep on saying this word, and I don't think that word means what you think it means. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, in that response, which is, a generic response, there's absolutely nothing to imply racism. So you're implying the racism on behalf of your own views and opinions. That doesn't make it racism. If you want to say discrimination because of the fact that they said we do not play Beyonce as it is a country music, okay, fair-ish, right? But racist? This is why the whole thing pisses me off, because all you have to do is throw that word out there and you get whatever the hell you want. Case in point, this was the rebuttal from the radio station. We initially refused to play it in the same manner as if someone requested us to play the Rolling Stones on our country station. General Manager Roger Harris said in his statement, "Fact is, we play Beyonce on 2 of our other stations and love her. She is an icon. We just didn't know about the song. Then when we found out about it, we tried to get the song, which we did, and we have already played it 3 times on YKC, our country station. We also play her on," he lists the other stations, 105.5 and 99.3. Now, so this guy's saying, like, listen, we didn't even know that there was a country song, which is fair-ish, right? Because you're a radio person. I would assume that you probably got it. But they have this whole process, and one of the stations here in Utah does it too. I forget what the catchphrase is for it, but basically they play the song and they let the viewers decide if it should be in the rotation, right? Sorry about that. And from what I was able to read in the article, it sounds like they do something very similar. So they got the song, they put it out there for the fans to listen to. I'm willing to bet the fans said, "No, don't play this fucking shit," because it is trash, guys. It is absolutely trash. But because of the pressure and the toting of the word racism, like, now this company's like, shit, we have to fucking respond to this. And these fucking people know that. Because there's nothing racist about not playing Beyonce on a country music channel. assuming, and this is an assumption, because even though I don't necessarily entirely believe that they didn't know about the song, right? I do believe that maybe they didn't have rights to play it yet. That's very possible, right? But let's just assume that they didn't really know about the song. If you're a country music station and you ask to play Beyonce or Rihanna, like, they don't even play Taylor Swift on those stations anymore, I don't think. If they do, it's her old stuff. So it's not racist, guys. It's different genres. And it pisses me off that you can go out there and you can say that word and people have to respond to it, or else their entire fucking livelihood is ruined based off the assumption of somebody who literally contributes probably minimal to society. And that really frustrates the shit out of me. But if you didn't know, she has a country song. Apparently the other one's a country song too. It just sounds kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say gospel because it's not really gospel, but it doesn't sound country either. But my wife played them both. The one's definitely trying to be, again, I've never felt like I've heard something so forced in my life. It is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It'll work out. It'll connect with kids for sure. Like, I could definitely see my daughter jamming this out. She likes to play music while she showers because it is catchy, right? Like, I'm not going to deny the fact that it's not catchy. It is absolutely catchy. It's just so god awful horrible. And it just feels forced. Like, why are you doing this? I got no issue if you want to, like, dabble in other genres. I have zero issue with that. In fact, I actually tend to like it when artists do that, right? Because I feel like for a lot of artists and musicians, they kind of get trapped in whatever got them their break, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that's who they are, right? I think the lead singer of Stained, Aaron Lewis, he was a prime example of that, right? He kind of came in with that whole, like, depressed rock thing, right? That was aggressive, but still kind of not at the same time. And then he transitions to his country album, and I think it's more in line with who he probably is, and it works out really well. And then you got Darius Rucker, previously Hootie and the Blowfish, right? And then he comes out with his country stuff. I think he did just fine. He made great music. So I'm not against the idea of switching genres, and we'll even go the other direction with it, right? Like Taylor Swift, she started out as country, but then decided she was going to go pop, and arguably has done way better as pop, right? So there's no reason you can't do it, right? But I feel like if you're gonna do it, it should at least be authentic to who you are. And I don't feel that when I listen to that song. That's all I'm trying to say. It seems like it's just for publicity. And you can't hide the fact that so I think it was, I don't know what award show it is. It was Grammys, Emmys, Namis, whatever, right? But Taylor Swift releases the information about her new album at that, right? That's a huge platform. So what does Beyonce do? She makes a commercial and releases her album, and she's going into the country realm with these songs. So it just feels like publicity to me. And I'm sorry, but the song is fucking horrible. But bottom line is that you shouldn't be allowed. Like, that lady should, since we're holding everybody accountable, that lady should be held accountable for claiming that the radio station was racist while providing zero proof of actual racism. Again, the term discrimination, okay, I could kind of see where maybe you feel like it's discrimination in that regard, right? I can kind of see that based off the generic response you got. But you cannot tell me that anything in this statement, we do not play Beyonce on KYKC as we are a country music station. Now, again, maybe there's more to that response, right? But nothing was put out there. So based off of what I've been able to see, absolutely nothing is racist about that. You think that it's racist because it's a black woman making a country song and the country station doesn't want to play the song. So you're like, oh, they're racist. Gotta prove it. I'm sorry, like, we cannot just allow ourselves to make these accusations. And then I'm literally reading in the news of the school board lady who it was unanimously voted that she resign because she made a comment about a girls basketball athlete based on the lines of, there's no way that's a girl. So she's being reprimanded for her accusation that was completely inaccurate. Meanwhile, whoever this person is gets to just say really, really bad things, like calling somebody a racist with zero proof. Zero proof. I'm sorry, but that shit is getting out of control. It's got to stop. I don't know. It's got to stop. Let's see. Last little kind of big thing here. So surging auto insurance costs are fueling higher inflation. Let's see. The cost of auto insurance jumped 1.4% in January, bringing the total annual gain to 20.6%, the fastest annual rate on record. When compared with early 2019, motor vehicle insurance is nearly 40% more expensive. Experts say the problem could soon get worse before it begins to get better. There you go, guys. They're just sucking us dry. Sucking us dry, man, because they can. And they get to use that word inflation. You know, it's the business's racism. They just get to throw it around however they want, and people just have to accept it. Right? No, that's annoying to me. And here's why it's annoying to me. It's annoying to me because it's literally legally required that I have insurance. I have this thought process that if the federal government requires me to have something, or if the state governments or whatever, then the cost should not be allowed to go up. Like, I don't want the shit. You say I have to have the shit. I don't want it. I've had it the entire time I've been driving. I've been in 2 accidents. One was my fault. The other was not. That's it. I've used it for unlocking my keys out of my car. Yeah, we've used that. Roadside assistance, maybe once. And we only did that because we realized we've been paying all this fucking money into this shit and never use it. We're trying to use it for a new windshield when you know, you live in a state with growth that's off the charts. You got all these construction vehicles and semi trucks hauling equipment and you know, building materials like gravel, rock, dirt, whatever. And shit, there was one year I went through like 4 windshields in a year just because of rocks. You know, and then people always say the ignorant stuff like, well, that's why you don't follow so close. Shut up, dude. I was literally going the opposite direction, passing on a 2-lane road one time, and a big ass rock smashed the shit out of my windshield. Actually, I found a picture of it. Maybe I'll have to put it up on the social so everybody can see. But I was going the opposite direction on the other side of the road. Like, I hate ignorant shit like that. But point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't even make sense to use them for that kind of stuff. It's an expense with no benefit, and it's required. Majority of the time. It's one of those things like, you're grateful for it the one time you use it in 30 years. Don't get me wrong. You're absolutely grateful for it. But when you really think about it, you probably could have just paid for it yourself if you didn't have to pay these fucking people to insure your shit. So, I don't know. That's my thought process, is that it shouldn't be allowed to go up if it's a requirement. Let's do that, and then let's see how much they really want to require us to do, right? Because that's part of it. I know that these are third-party businesses. These insurance companies aren't part of the government. They're civilian companies, right? So they've got to be able to keep their business afloat. And if everything's costing more, obviously, if more disasters are happening, right, and more people are making claims, everything goes up. I totally get the business behind it to an extent, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that I don't want you, but I have to have you. So that's where I stand on it. All right. Now, here's what I really want to get into. If you listened to my episode yesterday, I was talking about Greenland and how I personally feel that there's a higher chance of finding ancient civilizations, remnants of ancient civilizations in Greenland over Antarctica. Right? And I cited that, you know, a lot of people talk about Antarctica and the things that could potentially be there and things that they think that are there. Some people swear up and down that they're there. But I was trying to make the argument for Greenland. Well, in a weird world of synchronicity, check this out. Iran declares Antarctica is property in direct challenge to Biden and global treaty. Now, I didn't read through the article because it's very political. It was the headline that stood out to me because, again, of what I was talking about yesterday. Now, so if you're not familiar, there is a bunch of people, depending on where you look, but there's a bunch of people that are thoroughly convinced that Antarctica holds secrets to what's really going on in the world. I know a lot, not all, but a lot of the flat earth mentality, a lot of those people think that Antarctica is the border, right? And if you pass over border, there's more lands, this and that, and that's why you can't go there, and the government's got it locked down, and blah, 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 right? There's a ton of people who believe that there's pyramids, that some of the mountains are actually pyramids. They're not actually mountains. They're just pyramids, similar to what we found in like South America, where they were overtaken by the jungle. You can see the outline, and if you clear it away, you're going to find all this stuff, right? There's people who believe the aliens are down there. There's this whole thing about a guy named Admiral Byrd, where he flew across and documented all this stuff and was able to find like this giant, hole or something like that. Point being is there's a ton of stuff about it. And part of that, in my opinion, is because it is difficult for the everyday person to get down there. It's not impossible, by the way, but it is very difficult for the average person to get down there. And for the most part, the only people that are down there are scientists, for the most part. Okay? So in 1959, there was a treaty signed by 12 countries active in the Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year of 57 to 58. Okay? So Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States all signed this treaty. Okay? The treaty was seen as a diplomatic expression of operational and scientific cooperation that had been achieved. As of 2023, the treaty has 56 parties. So that means that they've added more people since then, obviously, right? So there's 56 countries in on this treaty, and they generally do a lot of scientific studying down there. I don't know if it's the cold or if they're just digging up the ice, right? So all these things, like, why do you got to go all the way to Antarctica to do this? But if you really think about it, it's kind of a neutralized place. There's no human life there that we know of, right? But there's no vegetation, really. There's no wildlife, really, outside of a few species, right? So it's very isolated, and you have all these countries that are doing scientific testing. I think that could be pretty cool, honestly, because it eliminates all the distractions from everything else. But put it in the joint measures that they could do, right? But anyway, so that adds to the mystique about it, right? The what ifs, if you will. It adds to it. But Iran now, who to the best of my knowledge is not a part of this, maybe they are, because I didn't look up the other 56. I just looked up the main 12 because I knew that there was 12. So I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'll do a part 2 or something. Or maybe I'll just talk about it tomorrow. But anyways, here's one of the things that's forbidden in Antarctica, okay? In the treaty obligations, the treaty obligates parties to use Antarctica for peaceful purposes only. Any measure of military nature, including testing of any type of weapons, are prohibited. Any nuclear explosions in Antarctica and the disposal thereof, radioactive waste materials, are prohibited, right? So if you go back to it, let me get to it. So I didn't screenshot it, but I part of like the first paragraph of that article was Iran basically said that they have rights to it, and they're going to go down there, they're going to stake their claim to it and do military science testing. They basically straight out said it. Now, the Secretariat of the Antarctica Treaty. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only. The Antarctica Treaty was signed in Washington 1st, December 1959 by 12 countries whose scientists had been active in and around Antarctica, which I already told you guys that, so sorry. But here's why I wanted to bring it up, though. We've got a lot of shit going on in the world. A lot of people are fighting. A lot of death. Economies are struggling to stay afloat. Japan just lost their spot as the third largest economy in the world. There's a lot of things going on. And for the most part, outside of like financial and small things here and there, I think America's staying out of it. Right? If we go to war to keep Iran from this claim in Antarctica, if that's what draws us in, then I'm telling you right now, I will 1000% be on board with there is some shit going on in Antarctica that we are not being told. Because with everything else going on, right? I mean, the grand scheme of it, what do we really give a shit if they want to go down to Antarctica and do some scientific testing? Now, staking claim to it, now that's a different story, right? Because that's the one thing that I've always kind of found is that they had to do this treaty, and they each have certain sections to my understanding that they're basically are theirs, right? But there's probably a plethora of natural resources there if you can get through the ice. And what makes the world go around, guys? Natural resources. So trying to have rights to it is probably huge. Huge. And if that's what draws us out, though, is Antarctica, with everything else going on. Everything. I mean, is Antarctica the equivalent to, the Pearl Harbor, right? Obviously not in deaths and stuff like that, but I'm just saying as the catalyst to get us involved. If that's the case, then I will definitely be more on board with that there's some shady shit going on in Antarctica. There's way more than we know about. Because that doesn't make sense to me with everything else going on. So, anyways, guys, figured I'd end with that one. Kind of just a follow-up from what we were talking about yesterday. The weird synchronicities. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, okay? The usual. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/average discussion. Instagram, average discussion. X, formerly known as Twitter, @AVG discussion. You can, you got any critiques, bitches, gripes, complaints, death threats, whatever, email me directly at average discussion, all one word, averagediscussion@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's about it. So I'm going to end this one. Quick little 30 minutes. But hey, as always, guys, please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. I hope you have a great day. And until next time, I'm out.